There's obviously a lot of choices today when it comes to picking your next laptop. And don't get me wrong, having a choice is a good thing. But what if there were too many choices? Could you narrow it down to just a handful of options? Well, if you ask me, there's really only 3 options. And they're all right in front of me. At least at the time of writing this, these 3 laptops are easily the most powerful, longest lasting, and most versatile laptops in their class. Heck, let's be honest, they're in a class of their own, and they all graduated with flying colors. On the left is quite literally the best 13-inch laptop I've ever used. The 2020 M1 MacBook Pro absolutely blew me away last year with its new Apple M1 chip, all days battery life, and surprisingly good gaming performance. It might have a touch bar and missing a few ports to make it my everyday carry, but you'd be a fool for not considering this machine, especially given the price starting at just under $1,300. In the middle, we have a laptop that serves to be both the middle of the road, but also the best entry point for those trying to get real work done. The 2021 M1 Pro MacBook 14-inch is new to this year's lineup and comes in swinging hard with an M1 level improvement over last year's M1 in the form of M1 Pro. This new MacBook also comes with Apple's XDR mini LED display technology, making it one of, if not the brightest laptop screens on the market. Oh, and did I mention it's the first MacBook to have a 120Hz display? Yeah, they did that and it's amazing. Top it all off with a selection of ports that'll leave you saying, damn, how old is that thing? With 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports, an SDXC slot, high impedance headphone jack, and a full-blown HDMI port, say goodbye to your dongles because this thing comes packed with expandability right out of the box. It may not be the most powerful in the lineup, but I assure you it's easily the system most people will go for starting at just under $2,000. But what if we could go just a bit further? Looking for the peak of mobile desktop performance? Well, look no further, because on the right is the 2021 M1 Pro MacBook 16-inch, a return of what many consider to be the ultimate laptop for creators of all kinds: musicians, photographers, videographers, graphic designers, illustrators, and more. If any of those sound like you, then you're in the right place, because the 16-inch MacBook Pro gives you just that extra bit of space that, let me tell you, makes all the difference when you're working on a project. So when I say size matters, I mean it. Top that off with a beefy 10-core CPU and a 16-core GPU, and you have yourself an i9 killer, one of which will only whisper when under the heaviest of loads and sip on its battery while crushing whatever you can throw at it. The 16-inch MacBook also has the biggest battery, and combined with M1's power efficiency, will not only get you through one workday, but likely multiple, bringing a whole new meaning to the phrase all-day battery. And the best part is, that's only the beginning. Step up to the M1 Max, and now you're competing for desk space with the coveted Mac Pro. Yeah, the desktop. Though I don't have an M1 Max to show you. I don't really need to. The M1 Max is its own beast, and quite frankly is a bit of a circus animal when it comes to performance. It isn't made for the faint of heart, and can only be tamed by those with the deepest of pockets. Trust me, it's more than you can handle. Toss in some dedicated media encoding hardware and a ProRes accelerator or two, and you got yourself the best damn mobile editing station you could ever ask for. Filming in 4K, 6K, how about 8K? Bet you never thought you'd look forward to editing on a laptop. Well, now's your time. So pick your jaw off the floor, wipe your eyes, because it's real, and it's here right now. The 16-inch MacBook Pro isn't your mother's Facebook machine. It's the sleekest, slimmest, and fastest workstation on planet Earth. So what'll it be? The tiny yet mighty 13-inch M1 MacBook Pro of yesteryear? The new 14-inch M1 Pro MacBook middle child that everyone seems to overlook? Or the punch you in the gut and ask you why you're hitting yourself 16-inch M1 Pro MacBook? The choice is yours, and quite frankly, you can't go wrong with any one of them. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that little segment there in the beginning. I figured that was a way more fun way to kind of help you guys decide which MacBook you might be interested in if you are in fact interested in a MacBook. Otherwise, that was probably super silly to you and you're probably like, I don't even like MacBooks, in which case, why are you here? But if you enjoyed that kind of thing and you want to see more stuff like that, make sure to like and subscribe. It means a ton. It helps me kind of have that motivation to continue making these cool little intro segment type things like that. I know there's plenty of videos out there of people, comparing each one of them and, which MacBook should you buy in a more simple, straightforward way. I decided to take a different approach. So like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a very unique situation for me to have all three of them at the same time. That doesn't happen very often. So I figured I'd take advantage of it and have some fun. So without further ado, let's actually do some real benchmarks. So starting out with the Cinebench scores, I'll go ahead and throw those up on screen now. The M1 MacBook Pro from last year scored around the 7,800 point range, which is pretty good, especially being an ultralight with an 8-core CPU and 8-core GPU. The M1 Pro 14-inch with the same or similar 8-core CPU, but the 14-core GPU got around 9,500 points, which again, very good. And then the 16-inch MacBook Pro with the 10-core CPU and the 16-core GPU scored somewhere in like the 12,000. I don't have the exact number in my head, but it's on screen. So take that for what it is. Again, that's just Cinebench. But I can say just from using all three of them, that is a pretty noticeable difference, especially coming from the M1 from last year to the M1 Pro on the 16-inch. Moving on over to the Blackmagic disk test. Nothing super surprising here. You'll notice that all three of them are wicked fast. They all are perfectly suitable for pretty much any kind of media that you're going to be transferring, especially if you work in video like I do. So 4K, 6K footage, no problem for all three of these machines, especially if you're editing off of an SSD or an external drive. You should be totally fine there. And then finally, I went ahead and did a Final Cut Pro render of my most recent video, the Lightroom mask tutorial. And the M1 laptop or the M1 MacBook Pro from last year finished in just under 9 minutes, which honestly is not too bad. That video didn't have a ton of stuff in it. It wasn't like heavily color graded or anything, but it did have some motion blur, zoom in effects. It also had HEVC footage, ProRes footage, etc. And then the 14-inch with the 8-core CPU came in at just over 7 minutes, and it has that ProRes accelerator, which does help out a fair bit, especially when it comes to rendering. And then finally, the 16-inch you'll see is about just under 6 minutes and 30 seconds or so, which is really fast. Yeah, that should kind of give you an idea. Like I said, the results aren't super surprising here, so choice is yours. But like I said, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya. Peace. Bye. Goodbye. I'm done. I'm out. Bye. This is the final take. This is it. I'm not doing it again. So it's got to be perfect. Okay. We're going to do it. We're going to hit it. We're going to hit the nail on the head with a bing. We're just going to, what time is it? It's 3:53. We got the hair in my face.